Good afternoon. Welcome to our June 30th policy session of the Phoenix City Council. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll begin with a call to order. I would ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence to honor the many Arizonans we've lost recently, including those to COVID-19, as well as for Commander Greg Carnicle, who the state of Arizona honored with a memorial this morning. So thank you. Please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. When ready, we will move to roll call.
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Here.
Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Waring. Councilman Waring.
We can't hear him now.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, yeah, I said it first time, sorry.
Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Guardado.
Here.
And Mayor Gallego.
Here. We'll next go to council information and follow-up requests. Want to begin by recognizing our Assistant City Manager, Deanna Janovich, who has served the city so capably in so many roles. She has led many of our most important public processes and conversations and really helped build a city that works for everyone. So I want to turn to her for a moment for a few words.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, for the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes today. Please pardon my reading, but I wanted to stay on point with my comments. As many of you know, I will be retiring from the city on July 17th. After 30+ years in public service, this decision doesn't come easily. When your entire focus has been on improving the lives of those in your community, it is exceptionally difficult to leave, as I am sure many of you can imagine. But I don't want to spend this time discussing my career. I instead want to take a moment to discuss something far more important and meaningful to me. Many of you have asked me how difficult leaving must be. The difficulty is leaving the talented individuals I have had the opportunity to work side by side these past 19 years. If I could leave you with one thing today, it is to always remember how important the programs and services this organization provides are to our residents, and for that, we have our employees to thank. We have heard many times that employees are the most valuable resource an organization has. That is true. We need to do more to encourage and value this work because without their talent, intellect, and creative ideas, cities won't thrive. I say this because I have been blessed to work with some of the best and brightest individuals in this city. Although they may have different styles and techniques, their singular common focus is working to make the community a better place for every resident. And at the end of the day, that is why we choose public service. Having said that, the individual sitting next to me is the most dedicated public servant I have ever had the opportunity to learn from. And I want to thank him for allowing me to be part of something special here at the city. Thank you, Ed. I also want to thank my husband, Peter, and my two daughters, Savannah and Amanda, for allowing me to have this amazing career. And to my two wonderful parents who are watching today, who have instilled a strong work ethic in me, thank you. Although I will miss my Phoenix family, I am very excited to spend time with the Janovich and Trujillo families. As you all know, I have very large families. I wish each of you the very best here at the City of Phoenix. Thank you.
Inspiring words from a true public servant. Thank you for recognizing all of our amazing city employees who you have helped lead so capably, and thank you for all the Phoenicians whose life you have improved. I'll turn to my colleagues now for comments.
Hello?
Councilwoman Pastor.
Yes, I wanted to make some announcements. So over the course of the last 2 months, 8 interns from my office have called 300 students to ask and encourage that they complete the U.S. Census. A special shout out to Araceli and Abril, who have made over 100 of those calls. They've also called over 300 restaurants in District 4 to provide information on small business assistance and have partnered up with many of them to distribute census flyers to their customers. They have also called and delivered census materials to numerous houses of worships, grocery stores, and food banks, where they have also volunteered for those food banks. Lastly, I'd like to thank Saul Rascon Salazar for making and editing census videos that we are using in our social media. Want to give a shout out to those interns. I also want to wish Thelda a happy birthday. Today is her birthday, and so due to COVID-19, we are where we are today. But happy birthday, Thelda. Enjoy your day as much as you can.
Thank you.
And so, and then to Deanna, she has given she has sacrificed her family in order for the City of Phoenix family. And so I want to thank her for that. She's also a Miami and Globe grown citizen. And so it's great to know that if a Miami from the mining town has put her touch across the City of Phoenix. Congratulations, Deanna. You deserve all of it, and enjoy your family.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'll start off with Deanna. Thank you so much for your service. I've only been here for a year, but you've been so helpful, not only to myself, but to the staff, and definitely there for when we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, or to get us out of a pickle, whatever, you were there. Your honesty and your hard work and the genuineness of you wanting to help people comes through in the meetings, us being able to, get through this year, especially these last 6 months with the COVID. We couldn't have done it without you, to make sure that funds and the services that are really helping people are able to flourish during this time. It was all thanks to you. I wish you well. I wish you can, still be a part, and we need to call you. Hopefully you're there to pick up so we can have some conversations, some advice. And thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your family. Muchas gracias. Thank you to your parents. I don't know if they're watching, your family. Thank them all for allowing us and the City of Phoenix to borrow you for such a long time. And Zelda, happy birthday. Hope we can see each other soon and maybe have a little cake.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia. Shall we turn to Councilwoman Williams and wish her a happy birthday?
I think I've got it. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. I want to say, Deanna, you have done such an exceptional job, and I have appreciated your wisdom, your advice, and your leadership. You have come through on some very difficult scenarios. You have been able to work through them successfully, and I want to wish you the very best in your retirement. Probably my advice to you is ignore our calls, because I'm sure we're going to try. But I think it's important that you take care of your parents, take care of your family, and enjoy the rest of your life. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Zelda. I hope you're enjoying your birthday. And I want to say a couple things about Deanna. We started out as colleagues. I was planning director when I met her, and the moment I met her, I knew she was a quality person. She's passionate, she's caring, And I feel I'm very blessed to have known her. And I know even though she's going to retire, she'll still be with the city of Phoenix in spirit. And that makes me very happy. So, Deanna, have a great time and hope you enjoy retirement. Take care of your parents. Love you. Thanks.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I also want to say, Deanna, thank you so much for everything that you did for me, for my office. It's been, I don't think any of us anticipated what this first year in office was going to be like. I don't think anyone told us that we were going to be dealing with a pandemic at the beginning of the year, and coming into office, we've had to make very difficult decisions. And I just want to thank you for your guidance, for your support, and mainly for your patience. I think there were moments, there's a couple of us that are very hard-headed, and I think it takes someone like you to really talk to us and talk us through the things that we can do and the things that we cannot do. So I can never thank you enough for your leadership, for your support, and everything that you did for us. And also, Zelda, happy birthday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, first of all, I just want to thank everyone who attended the COVID-19 testing event that we had this past Saturday at the Desert West Community Center. It was a great event. About 975 people received the tests, and, just keep checking our Facebook, check the mayors and all my colleagues, and we're going to have some more pop-ups coming up pretty soon. Hopefully on the west side in South Phoenix and throughout the whole city of Phoenix. So it's so important to get tested. I know that a lot of people were just getting tested to make sure that they didn't have it, that they wouldn't spread it with their loved ones. So that's why the city of Phoenix is providing this service. Also, I want to acknowledge and thank the mayor and some of my colleagues that attended the beautiful memorial service this morning for the commander. My thoughts and prayers to his family, his loved ones, and all the men and women that served under the commander. He was such a great role model to on the force, and he just really gave the ultimate sacrifice, his own life for his fellow police officers. So thank you, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and that his legacy lives forever. Also, going off with Councilmember Pastor's, it's so important, the census, right? And to fill out that census form, it takes 10 minutes. You can go online and just do it with your family members, or you don't happen to, if you're afraid of social media, just get one of your kids to pop it up and do it for you. It really, that money's that we get our fair share from our federal taxes that are charged out there, and we want to make sure we get every single penny that we deserve coming back to the city of Phoenix. It goes back to our schools, hospitals, and all the different amenities in the city of Phoenix that we deserve to have. So I just really want to make sure that people fill that out. And also to Thelda, happy birthday, Thelda. And how old are you? 21 years now? So, and sad news about Deanna. I know that, many times we talk about leadership within the city of Phoenix, and it takes a special person. It takes a special person to be in upper management. It takes a special person to work with all of us on the 11th floor. We all have 11 different opinions, and 9 different opinions, and it's hard to balance all that. And a true leader is a person that can take all those 9 opinions and kind of find that common ground. And Deanna, that's what you do. You're a true leader, where you try to find that happy medium. You try to find that happy medium ground that makes us all happy. And sometimes it's very hard. And I know that there's a lot of sacrifice when it comes to family. And I know that you're split between your city family and your daughters and your husband and all your relatives. And I know losing John was a hard thing, but now losing you is going to be really hard for the city of Phoenix. My dad always said a true leader is a person that believes in God, has their family second, and their community third. and you're a fine example of a successful person that believes in God and believes in their family and has their community third. And now you're going to get to spend a lot of time with your family. And I just really want to thank your husband and your children for the sacrifices that they have made over the years with all the crises that's been going on throughout the last 6 months and all that time it's taken away from them. We just want to really thank them and apologize that we stole your mom for a little bit, but now you get her back, right? So God bless you. We'll keep you in our prayers. And girls, take care of your mom for us, all right? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go back to the Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I also just wanted to give a small report. I know that we've been talking about this for a long time. I want to thank all my colleagues for their support to be able to do the study that we did a few months ago. But I'm happy to report that we had a little bit over 100 people from the community come out to a Zoom meeting that we did about the Food Innovation Center that we're hoping to be able to put together at the old Kmart over by the I-17 and Northern Avenue. So that was very exciting to see how people came out, gave their opinions. People are very excited to see that there's not going to be something that's not going to be good for the community. I also want to give a big shout out and huge thanks to Chris Mackey and her team for helping on this. I thank you so much, Chris, for all the work that you did on this. I feel like you took this as your own, and you've been very supportive on this. Also want to thank the owner, Gabe Saya, that has been very patient with us. I think we've been talking about this project a little bit over a year. Thank you so much for not selling this property and help the neighborhood leaders being able to come together with this dream. Also, things like this don't happen without leaders like Jeff Spellman. Jeff, thank you so much for your leadership and everything that you have done in our district. Also want to thank the leadership of the Maricopa County College District, the Glendale Union High School District, and the Washington Elementary School District. They know better than any of us that education and job training opportunities are key to a better community. I'm very excited to see the next steps for this project, and I appreciate all my colleagues on the council who have supported us in this vision. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. With that, we will move to item number 1, update on the city's response efforts to the COVID-19 pandemic. Please welcome our Assistant City Manager, Milton Dahoney.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. We're happy to be with you this afternoon to give you an additional update in our efforts. We're going to be talking about 2 different topics today. One, giving the weekly testing update, sharing some information with you, and also touching on special event permitting to wrap things up before Mr. Barton. So in terms of update, the Banner Health is the option for city employees to be tested. To date, we have had 2,205 employees take the PCR or swab test, and 729 have taken the antibody test for a total of 2,934. So we're getting increased participation from employees, and we encourage even more of that. Through our HR department, we have formed a partnership with Concentra, and beginning this Thursday, July 2nd, we will be opening a new test site, the Washington Activity Center at 22nd Avenue and Citrus. That will provide testing for employees and, more importantly, family members who live in the same household, ages 2 and up. There will be appointments available Monday through Thursday, starting at 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Appointments can be made by calling 311 Monday through Friday from 8 until 5, And the key thing here is the employee needs to be the one that makes the call to set the appointment up, not a family member in your household, but the actual person that works for the City of Phoenix.
And if we can just clarify for city employees, the number is 262-3111. The actual 311 number itself would go somewhere else, but this is the city's own 311 system. It's 262-3111. I'm looking at Tony to make sure I got it right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. We will have a capacity to do 86 appointments per day, and individuals that go and get this test must be asymptomatic, and we will continue the testing indefinitely. We want to say a big thank you to Concentra for all of their work, working with our Human Resources Department. They really have gone beyond the call to pull this together very rapidly. We're very appreciative of the partnership, and we now look forward to this additional option being made available for city employees and their immediate family members. Additionally, as Councilmember Nowakowski mentioned, we tested 975 people in Desert West Park this past Saturday. It's clear that is an area of the city where there is a lot of demand for testing, and in recognizing that, we're going to be adding some additional dates at that same location. So beginning on July 18th, we will be doing some testing every other Saturday. So that's July 18th, August 1st, August 15th, August 29th, and September 12th. And we will pay close attention to the demand, so if the demand wanes, we will stop short of those dates, but this is the starting point that we have for continued testing at that location. We also, even though this is the final day for Metro Center, we are still moving forward with our plans to have testing in the Metro Center parking lot. Our clinical partner with this is Family Tree Healthcare. Equality Health has been our partner at Desert West. Family Tree will be conducting tests on July 11th and July 18th at the Metro Center parking lot. There'll be more information on the details of how to get signed up for that coming in the next few days. Additionally, we will be doing testing at El Prado Park, 6428 South 19th Avenue, and our clinical partner there again is Family Tree Healthcare, and we'll be offering testing at that location on Saturday, July 25th. Also still with Family Tree is our clinical partner in El Reposo Park on Monte Vista Road. We will be doing testing at that location on Saturday, August the 1st. We also have been in communication with Valle del Sol, and they have agreed to do a testing operation with us in the Cesar Chavez Library parking lot, 3635 West Baseline Road. And we're going to do this one a little different and see how it goes. So we're going to do testing there 2 consecutive days, July 17th and July 18th. And then based upon the outcome of that, we'll make further determination about continued testing at that location. We are also working on trying to pull testing together in Palomino. I know Councilmember Stark had suggested that, and we do have that on the drawing board that we're trying to work out for that to happen as well. Additionally, the last time I was here, I talked about our interest in setting up a mobile testing operation. At that time, we were in discussions with Circle the City. Subsequently, Circle the City determined that that would be a little bit contrary to their mission of focusing solely on the homeless population, so they dropped out. With the assistance of Councilwoman Pastor, we got connected with Vincier Cancer Center, and we've had several discussions with Dr. Shukla and Dr. Pritchard They will be our clinical partner for mobile testing. And while we still have some details to work out, the model that we're putting together would use a vehicle that is similar to a food truck. We would be able to direct where the truck goes. It would be staffed by 2 nurses and 2 nurses' assistants. They would be prepared to do both the antibody test or the nasal swab. We're setting it up to go out 3 to 4 days a week and would do approximately 100 tests each time out. So we still have some details to work through to pull that together, but we have a level of confidence that we'll be able to make that happen. So that concludes the testing portion. I'd like to pivot to the special event piece, if that's okay, Mayor.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mayor,
Sir,
Mayor,
question?
I have a
Councilwoman
question.
Pastor.
I have a question, Milton. What I have heard just recently is that there are more and more people wanting to test, but they're arriving and either it's a set up an appointment or they have ran out of tests. So I don't know if we set up more sites as we get, as it becomes, as people are wanting to test more and more.
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, the partners that we're working with, they all prefer that appointments be used. We did learn some lessons from the first Saturday that we were out in Desert West, where there were both appointments and people that walked up without appointments, which really skews the scheduling. So what we're trying to do is, based on the number of appointments that are on the calendar for a given day, it tells us what our testing capacity needs to be. As an example, as we were talking with Dr. Shukla and talking through how the mobile option would work, we were able to mathematically calculate they could do 100 in a day. The testing that I'm mentioning to you this afternoon is certainly not the end of it. It's simply those sites where we have pulled everything together to a point where we can talk publicly about it. There are more testing situations in the works, and we will continue to push it throughout the summer.
Really appreciate that. I'm wondering if with the appointments and then their walk-ups, if we had it, and I don't know, you would be the one that knows this, kind of to set up so when there are walk-ups, you know you can take only so many, say 50 walk-ups and move them into the appointment, or be able then to say, no, you need to come back at such time to get tested if they walk up. Because what's happening is what's happening, or it's happened to 3 families that I know of. They're going to different testing sites because now someone in the family has it or has been diagnosed or is in the hospital. So now they're looking to go get tested, and they're driving around the whole city trying to hit the different testing areas, but then I don't want to use the term rejected, but not able to then test. So I don't know what the solution is.
So, Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Pastor, if you have people that are trying to get tested, my presumption is they're asymptomatic. If you want to give me their information offline, I'll be glad to work to try to get them connected to one of our sites.
Okay.
With regards to special event permitting, so when we first started dealing with the COVID crisis, we put a moratorium on the issuance of special event permitting through May 31st. That was simply to allow us to get our arms around the situation. Things were changing daily. We weren't exactly sure which way things were going, so we felt like we needed to pause issuing permits until we got better information. So May 31st has come and gone. There recently has been some communication with us from outside groups about what was going to happen next in terms of our ability to issue permits. And then yesterday, the governor held a press conference and issued Executive Order 2020-43. And I quote from it, effective June 29th, 2020, organized public events of more than 50 people are prohibited unless city, town, or county in unincorporated areas has approved the event, and only if adequate safety precautions are implemented, including physical distancing measures. So the governor's executive order has essentially sort of reset the parameters that everyone needs to work within. And so based upon that, these are the handful of departments in city government that typically issue permits for one reason or another. Streets, the city clerk, parks, fire, planning, and development. So event producers that are interested in doing something in a right-of-way would need to go to streets. If there is an interest in alcohol, they'd go to the city clerk. If you want to do something in parks, go to Inger and her staff. If you want to do something involving fireworks, pyrotechnics, something with a major electrical load, you would go to the fire department for a permit. And then if you want to use generators at your site, you need to go to planning and development. Again, depending upon what you're doing, you may also need to get a permit from the Arizona Department of Transportation. The police department does not issue permits for anything, but they do need to be involved depending upon what kind of event someone wants to do. So based on the governor's action yesterday, we have a couple of options to present to council this afternoon. One option is to extend the moratorium until October 1st, and then we can reassess. We don't know what the situation will be at that time. And why this is even relevant is because groups need so many months in order to plan for their event. They come to get their permits early in the process. Before they start doing contracting with, say, musical acts or reserving venues, they want to know for sure that the event can happen. So this is an example of why you would want to go an extended period of time if you want to extend the moratorium and then reassess. The impact of this option is it's pretty clean for everyone involved. It gives a level of certainty to event applicants, and so they know when to re-engage the city. An additional option that's available to you is to reopen the special event permitting process and allow the staff, in this case, it would be the 5 departments that I mentioned to you, the city manager's office and the police department. All of us are part of our COVID-19 response team, so we could meet as a group. We could require anyone that's seeking an approval to submit a safety plan where we could gauge how they planned on observing social distancing and other safety measures. It would also allow us to include a review of the current data at the time that they approached us, and then we would be able to make a decision about whether they should be allowed to do it or not. And to give you an example, in case you might wonder, well, what kind of event would be safe under the conditions that we have at present? So we had an organization that came up with the idea about doing something in a parking lot where everyone stayed inside their vehicle. There was no social distancing issues. They weren't selling anything. They were simply listening to entertainment from the security of their vehicle. That seemed like an okay option to move forward. You may have seen in the news when we got near the end of the school year and certain schools couldn't have their formal or regular graduation ceremonies, there were some folks that decided to have sort of a parade drive-by graduation ceremony. So people were in their yards and cars went by. Some of them wanted to do fireworks at the end, but again, they were able to observe social distancing requirements, and it seemed like a safe option for them to execute. So those are examples of what could happen. We are not providing a recommendation on either option, whether to pause until the fall or to move forward with us working as a team to review whatever applications we get. And with that, Mayor and members of council, we do have some members of our team in the audience or available depending on what your questions might be, but we'd be glad to try to entertain those at this point.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that presentation. Councilmember Garcia.
Mayor, I think the most sensible thing is the option one, and I'd like to move to have the date of October 1st, to extend it to October 1st.
Second.
We do have one member of the public to address the council on this item. So unless I see any other council members, we'll go to the phones for Justin McKay.
Hey, thank you for recognizing me. I just had a follow-up question on about an email I sent you guys about the funding for the cultural and language classes. Is that?
That is tomorrow's agenda.
Okay. I'll go ahead and pass on this one then, but I just encourage everyone to keep in mind, if we're going to have budget problems next year, I would ask that everyone be sensitive to spending too much money on stuff that isn't absolutely essential. Thanks.
Thank you. I think that was a comment on item number 2, which is our budget update, and not a comment on item number 1, which relates to testing and event policy. Councilwoman Pastor.
Milton, you had mentioned some events like the car concert or the graduations. And so they obviously, and I know Phoenix Union did the fireworks. So they went through a whole process that was able to provide it and was doing it during the time during this whole past several months. So what would change from that?
So Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Pastor, if you chose option 2, then it would allow us to sort of say to the event world, we are open for business and you can submit an application that will be reviewed. And in addition to the typical things that we would be evaluating in preparation of making a decision as to whether you can do it or not, we also need you to submit a plan for how you would make your event safe. And so it would put an onus on an applicant to spell out how they would address the mask issue or address the spacing issue. It would then allow us as a team to review the application and determine if it seemed practical, and also taking a look at, what time frame are they talking about? If they want to do something 6 months from now and make a determination. So that's the process that would be entailed with that option.
I guess my follow-up, Milton, is we've had a moratorium.
Right.
so far, correct?
Yes.
So for example, Phoenix Union asked to do fireworks, and they had to get a permit. And so they went through a process during the moratorium. So if we extended the moratorium, it's not really changing those special, I guess, requests or permits because they were able to get a permit. People were able to graduation. Brophy did a graduation sitting in a car at North Baptist. Or are you saying it has to do with city property?
Mayor, members of council, council member Pastor, I'm not saying that it has to do with city property. I can't speak to the particular events that you cited. We are aware that there were certain events that took place during the moratorium that didn't have a permit. We didn't go out and try to stop it, but there were some things that were taking place that was not permitted. There were some that had come and actually made the request before the moratorium took effect. So I'm not sure about the particular examples that you cited, but once the moratorium was made clear, I'm not aware of any permits that we actually issued once everyone knew what the rules of engagement were.
Councilwoman Stark?
Thank you, Mayor. This morning, my staff, and I think Councilwoman Pastor's staff was also on the line when we talked to Aunt Rita's about their annual Walk for Life. They used to have it in the city of Phoenix, and the last year they went to Tempe, but they would like to come back to Phoenix. In talking to them, it takes them quite a lot of time to plan the event. So I think I prefer option 2 because this way we could help organizations like that at least go through the process. They want to look at a couple of our parks. We're part of the run/walk. So I and I want to give them the opportunity. Quite frankly, I'd like to get them back from the city of Tempe. So, and again, they've said they may not be able to do it because they generally have about 3,000 participants, but they still need all that planning time to really realize the outcomes. So I prefer option 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stark. I too prefer option 2. With yesterday's announcement from Governor Ducey, the cities now have a much higher profile role and are responsible for a much broader number of events than we were last week. So while Brophy could have had their graduation before the governor's executive order, they cannot now with the cars driving through unless the city allows them to. I do believe it's possible to do a safe event with cars. I would ask that our staff look very closely and be very diligent and err on the side of protecting public health. But I would like our staff to have the option to do so if a event organizer did come up with a safe event. So I prefer option 2, like Councilwoman Stark.
Mayor, if I could just insert there and circle back to the intent that Councilmember Pastor's question spoke to. If you chose option 1, the moratorium, we would essentially be telling groups we're not accepting event applications until October 1. At best, they'd be sitting, waiting on the fall to get here before we would do anything with it.
And so, Milton, a question for you. With the governor's executive order, do cities now have jurisdiction over a larger number of events than we did last week? So are we now in charge of those automotive graduations and fireworks in a way that we would not have been last week?
Mayor, with the governor specifically calling out a number of anything above 50, so it's any event that would call for the massing of people 50 plus 1. And so they could, kind of hard to explain, but they could do all of the, it might not need an event permit otherwise, but now, because it's 50 plus 1, they have to come and get permission to hold that gathering. And so it will force municipalities to figure out how to address that. It also will sort of beg the question, if you're going to issue a permit for a gathering of a certain size, how would you propose to enforce it? And we'd have to sit down and collectively sort of figure that out. The value to the event-seeking public is they're saying to us, we at least would like to be heard. Even if you tell us no, give us the opportunity to come make our pitch to you. And that's what option 2 allows you to do.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mayor, my other job is actually running a radio station, and we do events all the time. There's certain events that you don't have to get a special event license for, especially when it's on like church or school property and it's a smaller event. But a special event license is where you're going to basically ask for like a special liquor license. You're going to close some streets. You're going to have, there's some parameters there. So I think what the governor passed is actually any gathering of 50 plus, that's not permissible for the next 30 days. So there, we're talking about two different things, right, Milton? We're talking about what the governor for the next 30 days, we're not going to allow anyone 50 plus to gather. And then the special event license is normal if you have to ask for a special event, but there's still events outside of that parameter that they don't have to come to the city for a permit, right?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski, that's correct. So because of the governor's order, if your gathering for whatever the reason is exceeds 50, you now need permission. He did make note that things that are constitutionally protected, like a religious service or people that are exercising their right to demonstrate, those are carve-outs, if you will. But everything else, we would need to figure out a way to deal with it.
And Mayor, I do agree with that option 2 gives us a little bit of leeway to work with if there is a school or a religious gathering or so that they need to do a procession or something like that, and they feel that they can do a procession in a car and everybody's going to be in their vehicles, and there's they're dealing with the distancing and all that. I think there's different options out there that that we should keep our options open. So I think that the option 2 allows that to happen.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia.
Mayor, part of the problem during the last 6 months has been our inability to have consistency. And I think the confusion that we've put forth, that the state's put forth, that everybody's putting forth needs to end. If we go with option 2, we no longer have a moratorium, and now we're open to taking applications for everything. And we're expecting our staff to go through all of them, which leads to my second point. We do not have expertise in public health, nor do staff have the ability to be able to determine whether an event is safe or not. One, because we just don't have that type of staffing, which I've been saying for a couple of months now, that we need a public health perspective on our staff to be able to make these decisions. And 2, you're literally gonna then put the responsibility on our staff to whether to accept or not, and then have them think or have in their hands the possibility of someone getting sick. We had over 4,000 cases yesterday. We are peaking. We are going in the opposite direction, like the governor said. And for us to continue to create confusion and to somehow allude to the fact that we're going to allow events is irresponsible. And so to me, the best thing is to just not accept any applications till October 1st. And maybe we also declare that there just won't be any events for the rest of this year, and every application after that is for next year. But we have no idea how this is going to continue, and we are not doing the work to stop the spread or to support people like we should. And again, we do not have the public health expertise to be able to responsibly say, yes, have an event, no, don't have an event. And so lifting this moratorium just seems ridiculous, and it seems like we're going to create more confusion, which is what we have been. And so I would urge my colleagues to just please let's continue the moratorium until October 1st and try to get some sound advice about what's actually best for the health of the Phoenix community.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Milton, I would like to know who has the final authority with option 2. Is that council, is that the mayor, or is that the departments?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, under option 2, you would be giving the authority to the staff to work with groups and make that determination, particularly given the fact that groups would be coming to us even while you all are in recess of meetings. There would need to be decisions made. So you'd be giving staff the authority in order to go through a process with each applicant.
Milton, what expertise does our staff have in determining, or where would they seek advice in determining this is a proper social distancing, this is to work this way? I don't know. I'm just right now I'm trying to logically understand how staff would have that authority and be able then to say, this is the framework or the guidelines on how you do a social distancing event. And then if that event, for whatever reason, doesn't follow through, where's the enforcement? Who enforces and who checks?
So, Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, as I indicated, how it would be enforced would have to be determined. And so in terms of the expertise being brought to evaluate the application, if we needed to get input from medical or public health related kinds of input, we would seek that out. So as an example, if the staff were just sitting around the table thinking about it, we may never have conceived of holding a concert in a parking lot where people didn't get out of cars. But an event producer came up with that idea. And so the option 2 simply gives them a chance to come make their business pitch for how they think it could work. It's hard to imagine in this climate that a lot of people would be interested in going to, quote, events. But, you know, there's some who are thinking about it. And I go back to something I said earlier. Some groups are thinking about events that they want to hold 6, 7, 8 months from now. But they want to talk to us about it now because, you know, the planning process is what it is. Another example of an event that happened, I'm not sure who thought it up, but driving through the zoo. People were allowed to purchase tickets, stay in their cars, and drive through the zoo. And that was an okay thing.
Mayor, may I say something?
Councilman Waring.
Okay, unless Councilwoman Pastor was going to go. I saw her picture.
I just wanted to know the driving through the zoo. So are you saying they didn't need a permit? See, I'm trying to understand the difference. I know that it's 50+1. It's in the authority of the council or the cities, but did the zoo request for a permit?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, I'm not aware of whether they asked for a permit or not.
Mayor, Councilman Pastor, I'm just looking over Milton's shoulder at Inger, and she's saying no, that the zoo did not require a permit. I think the question maybe the councilwoman's asking is, now that the governor has specifically said that a group over 50, would that event today need a permission from the city? I think we're not sure, but we think based on the plain language of his order that they would. And so that would be the question is today, given the governor's order, would the council want to give that authority to staff considering all elements, or would the council want to just say we are not going to permit that or anything else between now and October 1st?
We'll go to Councilman Waring next.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a couple things. So Milton, I mean, it's a fair statement. You know, we give out permits for lots of different things. I'm sure permits also get denied for things having nothing to do with the governor's order or COVID-19 or anything else. And so I understand completely what Councilman Garcia is saying about, you know, are we really going to do events the next few months? Maybe we should just put a halt to this altogether and not waste people's time. But I don't think there's a person in America who isn't aware of this virus, and that if they're going to do an event, there's these governor's orders and so forth. But they may also have questions like, if I want to do an event next April, so I think that's 8-9 months, you know, but there may be some other problem apart. And I may understand it's more than 50 people. There's no way I'm going to do it if it was today, but who knows what, you know, next April might bring. But I also want to find out from the city, is there some other problem with my event and they won't let me do it because I can't get the permit, or they don't want that kind of event in that area or whatever? Those questions wouldn't be answered if we brought everything to a halt until October. Is that fair? Because I understand, well, I don't want to interpret Councilman Garcia's statement. So I understand, number one is we don't want to waste people's time and lure them into planning events we're never going to let them hold. But the flip side is we don't want people to wait till October thinking they're going to have an event we were also never going to let them hold because of some other completely unrelated reason. Do you understand what I'm getting at? And is that a fair analysis of the process? Because I know of groups that have basically been turned down before, but it had nothing to do with, you know, it was years ago. It had nothing to do with this climate. But they wouldn't have known they couldn't do their event or park the way they wanted to park or what have you if they hadn't been able to talk to staff.
So, Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Waring, I understand the distinction that you're making, and it makes perfect sense. I can't tell you that we would spend the time and go through the application on non-COVID related matters and give feedback on that. To be honest with you, our group was planning on convening after we got some direction as to what we were supposed to do. So it's something we could talk about. I would envision that we wouldn't be reviewing it. That would fit within just a clean break until October 1st. We're not accepting anything, and so everyone would know that, and we would be spending our time on other things.
Fair enough. I appreciate the answer. I wanted to ask that question. The second thing is, you know, people went tubing last weekend. I mean, there were pictures all over. You guys probably all saw them too. I'm not judging anybody. It's just, it's not what I would do. So, but people did. Lots of people, thousands, sounds like. So, made some national news. So, I guess, obviously, people are going to look for outlets. I mean, you know, we're all probably a little stir crazy, but, you know, it's everybody. So, can't complain about it too much, but it is just a fact of life. But people are clearly looking for outlets. I think that's a fair way to say it. And this going down the path of number 2, to me, might provide, I think the mayor sort of articulated my point, and again, I don't want to put words in her mouth either, but that, you know, at least we could evaluate what are considered safe options and provide some safe outlets, because otherwise people might feel the need to go do things that are less safe, kind of sort of off the books. And so it's just that's a reason to me to support the second option. I'm not saying this is anything like an ideal setup, but it's something I would consider in my decision making, rather than, you know, we're not doing anything until October 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Waring. Councilman Nowakowski.
Milton, I know that one of the things, setting up an event, you work with other municipalities, and you work with other with the county. For example, when we draw out a map of all of our food vendors, the city has to approve and the fire department has to approve it. And then we have to take down to the county, and the county has to approve the food handlers and all that. And then actually the day of the event, they come down, they check if the food's iced or if there's a certain product that's heated, and then they have thermostats and they check all that. So we don't have the expertise to do that. I hear Councilmember Garcia, and it's true, we don't, but we work with the county when it comes to health issues. Is there a way that you can communicate in the near future with the county to find out, with social distancing, just like they do with the food handlers, is there a way for them to look over in the future if we do accept something like, let's say, a concert inside your car and there's 6 feet distance from each car and you can't come outside of your car, if that's okay and that passes muster with the health department of the county, seeing that we don't have a person here, but the county does has the expertise to do that. And we already do that when it comes to the food handlers and selling food at our events.
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski, yes, we certainly can confer with them and others for proper input or expertise that we might need.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Milton, what happens if the numbers are still high on July 27th and the governor extends the executive order? Wouldn't we still have to address this?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, yes, if the governor extends the executive order, meaning that each municipality has to address gatherings of 50+1, we would have to deal with it, yes.
And then my other question is, if they're permitting, how much do we charge for permitting?
I'm going to look to one of my colleagues. I'm not sure.
I think it depends on the permit, so we have to know specifically what permit. Denise Archibald is here. Maybe Denise, speak to what's the cost of a special event liquor license?
And the size of the group too, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Mayor, members of the council. For special event liquor licenses for the city, there's a range of $290 for example, an event of 0 to 500 participants. And then the range goes up to $450 for the application. And then it's like $10 per day as well. And then the state charges $25 because they have to actually approve the special event liquor licenses. But in terms of cost, for a special event liquor licensed event, then normally there are other costs that are involved. And so those costs might include, for example, off-duty police officers or security, or other permits that they may need, which are larger usually than just the application fee. But that is the range, $290 to $450, plus $10 per day for the city and $25 per day for the state. So let's say $600 for a large event that's 5,000 persons or more.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Pastor.
I just find it, for me, this is, I find it very difficult, especially at this moment, since our COVID numbers are rising, and we shut down bars, gyms, and other areas, or we didn't. The governor had to shut down those pieces, and I'm just, I guess, cautious or wanting to be cautious because if we continue to go up, I feel like we're going to go back into another shelter in place if we continue to go up. And so for me, I think it's confusing for the public in the sense of permits, because are we providing permits? My question, I guess, to the Milton, are we providing permits and then if there's an extension or extension to October, and then are we returning the permit money? What happens through this whole process? Because I think it's encouraging people still to kind of socialize. And even in a car, you could say, oh, this family can go and this family can go, hadn't seen each other, and now they're socializing. It's just difficult because people are going to get out of the car. They may be reminded to get back in the car or however, but people are just going to be people, and we're social people. So I find it, I think for me, I'm going to stay consistent.
Thank you, Councilwoman. It's certainly a very fair point, and I do want to send the strongest message that people need to take COVID-19 seriously, and the increase is very troubling. I, however, believe events such as the zoo, where you ride through in your car, can be done safely, and so I would want an option to spur innovation and allow nonprofits and schools that are trying to serve their community that opportunity if they can prove to us that that can be done safely, and I would hope we would have a very high bar, but allow the option. So I will vote no on the motion, or if there's a substitute motion for motion number 2, then I would support a substitute motion for option 2, but sending the message to our staff that COVID-19 is incredibly serious and that we would only want the most safe events. Councilwoman Stark.
Mayor, I'd like to make a substitute motion for option 2 and acknowledge that we will have to work with other organizations like Maricopa County Public Health, and that just because we're reviewing a permit doesn't mean we're going to approve it. But we do need to recognize a lot of these events take a long time planning, sometimes a year. So I move we go forward with option 2.
I'll second that.
Thank you, council members. Any additional comments before we vote? Roll call.
So, Mayor,
I'm sorry, I was too quick. Councilman Nowakowski.
just to make it very clear that the governor trumps our special liquor license, our special event license. So for the next 30 days, we're not going to be permitting any type of licensing. And basically after that, if somebody comes to us on August 1st, then we can start working something out with them. Is that what the motion's all about? Or is it from now on, we can actually give out special liquor, special event license?
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, I think, I'm looking to Denise, but I believe that the governor specifically said that the Department of Liquor License and Control will not be issuing any liquor licenses for the 30 days. So something involving liquor, as Councilman Nowakowski, you said, the governor's order in the case of liquor would take precedence over any city decision until at least July 27th.
Okay.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Yes, I had a question regarding the permitting. If we go and if there's an extension, what happens? Do we return the money to the event, or is it kept?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, we wouldn't keep anyone's money if we didn't issue a valid permit for them to go forward. Alan Stevenson is also here. He's a member of our team, and he just came to the table to comment on your question.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The Planning and Development Department oversees the temporary use on private properties, and some of those are the fireworks tents you see. Some of them are bigger public assembly type events, like the carnivals and things you see on private property. If someone were to come in with an application on one of those, we would advise them, right now, if there was a moratorium, we weren't doing them, if that was the council direction. If we were doing them and taking them in, then we would take in that application and we would meet as part of this larger, I think, internal group and decide, is that something that we would want to do and see from a public health standpoint? And that would probably be the first question we would have to then answer. And then if we found a way that we thought that could work from social distancing or something else along with enforcement that would go with it, we would process the rest of the application. And once we process the rest of the application, we would keep the money because it's an application fee for the Planning and Development Department where we're evaluating that. But we would first assess the public health side of it and working with the county to see, is this something we think we could do with some social distancing measures before we'd ever process? And if we couldn't do it in that manner, I think then we would refund the money and not process the rest of the application.
Thank you.
All right, I believe we are now ready. Let's do roll call on a motion for to approve option 2.
Garcia,
Mayor, may I explain my vote?
Please.
I just want to remind everyone that we did the moratorium that we did up until May, when numbers of both infected and dead were a tenth or even more of what they are now. And I hope we recognize the situation that we are in, not only leading the country, but the world in infected and deaths, unfortunately. Second, I want to apologize to staff. It seems like this is going to pass for making you all make life and death decisions without giving you the tools to be able to do this right, or partnering you with someone that will do that. And so with that, I vote no, and I believe it is utterly irresponsible to even contemplate events at this point. Thank you.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
I'm just staying consistent on how I voted on other stuff. I think we're just at very high numbers at this moment, and being talked of all across the world. I think right now is the time to stand down and wait till we try to get out of this. Thank you.
Pastor,
Just did it.
Isn't it Stark?
can I confirm, please, with Councilwoman Pastor, was that a no?
No.
Councilwoman Stark,
Yes.
Councilman Waring,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guardado,
No.
Mayor Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes 5-3.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you to our staff for the thoughtful presentation. and the council for good dialogue. We next move to item number 2, COVID-19 budget update. We will welcome our city manager, Ed Zerker, to introduce the item.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. So today is June 30th, which in the world of city budgets is known as New Year's Eve, because July 1st is the first day of the budget year 2020-2021. So in this, on this New Year's Eve, it's appropriate, I think, that we have a little bit of good news to share together. And I want to begin this item by thanking the council and commending you for your patience as we work through the budget. It's now been over 100 days since we started dealing with the economic impacts, or what we were trying to foresee as the economic impacts of COVID-19. And so your steadiness through this time has been important because we did not overreact or underreact to circumstances. We did not cut employment or services unnecessarily, but you took prudent action very early. You immediately in March trimmed the budget by $26 million and we also locked down our spending and only allowed critical hiring. And that action by our staff and work by our staff has really been important to preserving our financial position. You did not cut needlessly and kept moving forward creatively to implement important reforms in policing while maintaining our commitment to public safety. And you passed a budget that maintains city services and helped the economy by preserving city employment and employees in their jobs, and did not add to unemployment. So that's all the news of the council's perseverance and patience in this. So now we come to a point where we actually have data from March and April sales activity, which is what we were missing at the time. And as Jeff Barton, our Deputy City Manager, is going to show you, that indicates that this course that we've taken to be careful and deliberate is paid off. And so with your approval today, using our federal coronavirus relief funds, that you set aside at the beginning, we believe we'll be able to continue on this path and avoid reductions to city services at this point. Now, of course, our caveat is always what is happening in the world economy and the local economy and the national economy with this now, what we're experiencing now in terms of COVID. But at this point, we're comfortable in recommending a path forward to you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy City Manager Jeff Barton, who will walk you through presentation and a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Mayor, members of the council, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, and it is a pleasure to actually have good news to share with you. Before I begin my presentation, I also want to thank all of the fiscal staff and all of the departments, but I especially want to thank the staff in budget and research that really support me through this endeavor that we've been through through the past couple of months. So again, we're going to give you a very brief and very thorough update on where we are, as we said we would do once we had the data. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to first and foremost go through the budget and financial overview, remind you of where we've been and where we're going, talk about the original deficit scenarios that we've had. We're also going to talk about pre- and post-COVID general fund sales tax collections. We'll talk about what those collections do to our forecast and give you a revised forecast. And finally, we'll settle on a recommendation to the city manager's point. So first, just going back in time a few months to what I call, prior to the COVID effect, revenue growth was extremely, extremely strong. City sales tax growth was at 6.9%, and state sales tax growth was at 8.8%. Because we are very conservative in what we do, we conservatively forecasted the 2021 revenues at about 4% growth. Had we projected higher growth rates, the deficits that we would have been looking at would have been significantly higher. The trial budget reflected a $28 million surplus March 3rd, and to Ed's point, a couple of weeks later, we had to kind of dial that back and revise our trial budget. And then COVID hit. Once COVID hit, budget and research, we were required to go back and develop 4 additional revenue and scenarios for the council to consider and to evaluate. The trial budget was also revised, as I mentioned earlier, to reflect the changes in these forecasts as well as the changes in the economy. City Council, to your credit, as Ed mentioned, we've been very methodical. You've been very diligent and very patient with us. You approved some early balancing actions to address the short-term projections that we were looking at. And again, to your credit, those actions did not include cuts to employee compensation, nor did they cut existing services that our residents depend on. We also agreed collectively to wait until we had better information to update our projections, as well as to make any additional decisions because of the lag in sales tax reporting. So again, as we went back in time, we developed these 4 forecasts for you. Scenario 1 assumed that our downturn would essentially last through July and we'd start climbing back out in August. That produced a $26 million shortfall. Scenario 2 assumed that the downturn would last through October and we'd start climbing out of it at that point in time. That increased by $30 million to give us a $56 million shortfall. Scenario 3 assumed that the downturn would last through December and we'd start clawing out after that. That added another $23 million, and it looks like minus $79 million. Then the final scenario, we assumed, again, worst case scenario, let's assume that this downturn and this negative growth atmosphere lasts, or environment lasts through the end of the next fiscal year, which starts tomorrow. That produced a $128 million shortfall. Each of these scenarios was anecdotally based on information that we gleaned from the prior recession as well as previous recessions, and we modeled minus 12.3% revenue growth, or minus 12.3% revenue growth on the city side and minus 10% on the state side. The severity of the deficit, as I mentioned earlier, really is dependent upon when it ended, and so that is either July of 20, October of 20, sorry, I'm bouncing around here, December 20 or June 21. Now that we actually have updated information, I want to walk you through what those new projections look like. So again, as I mentioned, pre-COVID, revenue growth was strong, 6.9 and 8.8% on the city sales and state sales tax perspective. March activity, again, didn't come in as bad as we initially thought because, again, it was the city was only really closed for part of that month. So the revenue declines weren't as severe, minus 6.5 on the city side and minus 8.6% on the state side. Then April, when we were totally in lockdown mode, we saw the city sales tax minus 15.5 and the state at minus 13.6. When we average those 2 months together, we're at minus 11.1 for the city and minus 11 for the state. Again, those numbers are very close to what we originally modeled. And that's what I want to walk you through now. So when we look at those forecasts, if I take the April activity at minus 15.5 and minus 13.6, if I assume now, rather than going back and assuming, this ends in July, October, December, or January, or June of next year, we're just assuming now, for the most part, that we're going to have this for the rest of next fiscal year. And that's really just to prepare for the worst case scenario. And so when I model that, we're at about $139 million shortfall. That compares to what we originally forecasted, our worst case scenario, which lasted all through next fiscal year at minus 128. Then if I take the 2-month average, because again, if you look at March and April, March was where things were open part of the month, closed half of the month, then April they were closed for the entirety of the month. So going forward, again, I know our numbers are climbing and we've just shut down again yesterday, kind of not really to the same extent that we did in April. We should see a moderate increase from what April numbers were. So that's the basis of using the 2-month average. And that produces a $116 million shortfall. So what we want to talk to you today about is, again, your foresight and the foresight and the plan that we developed relative to our coronavirus relief funds. We did set $143 million to the side. And fortunately for us, the federal guidance, again, has constantly changed, as I've mentioned to you, almost on a weekly basis. We know that that guidance now is allowing for public safety payroll costs to be an eligible expense, even those that are already in existing budgeted, so it's not considered supplanting. The rationale and the reason behind this is also included in their FAQs, and it reads as follows. For this reason, and as a matter of administrative convenience, in light of the emergency nature of this program, a state, territorial, or tribal government may presume that payroll costs for public safety employees are payments for services substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. Furthermore, the governor, when he released his CRF monies to the cities that did not receive a direct allocation, those cities were encouraged to use their money on public safety payroll expenses because it was, again, an easy thing to do, required less paperwork, and it provided greater flexibility within their general funds, which were also experiencing some downturn. So what we want to talk to you today about is, again, taking that $143 million and allocating it and using it to offset general fund and other specialty fund public safety payroll expenses. In doing so, the general fund is not the only fund that benefits. So as a result, the general fund will only receive about 83% or $119 million of the $143 million. The rest, the other $24 million, would go to the public safety specialty funds. And there are three of those. Prop 301, which was formed in the late 90s, Proposition 1, which was in 2007, and the Public Safety Enhancement Franchise tax, which was approved in 2005. By doing this, I'll show you how this potentially eliminates the need for budget reductions in the general fund based on the information that we currently have. So if I take that April forecast, which showed the deficit at $139 million, if I apply that $119 million CRF offset, it leaves us with a $20 million shortfall. Now again, that is worst case scenario, but again, $20 million is something that I think we can deal with, and we have plenty of time to address that if, in fact, that happens. But again, that is worst case scenario. Again, if I look at it from the standpoint of what we originally forecast at $128 million, and I apply that 119 offset, we are left with a very small $9 million shortfall. On $1.5 billion budget, that's pretty much break even from my perspective. And again, we've got ample time to address that. And then finally, if I take the 2-month average, the $116 million shortfall, and if I apply the 119, it shows a $3 million surplus, but again, I would call that pretty much break even as a zero. So our recommendation to you today is fairly simple. We request and recommend that you allocate the $143 million CRF reserve to offset public safety payroll costs. And what I want to do is emphasize that this is not giving public safety additional monies. This is really, again, taking some of their cost out of the general fund. And by doing that, it will preserve existing services. It does not require us to reduce employee compensation. And it will, again, based on what we know right now, eliminate the need to make general fund service cuts in fiscal year 2021, which starts Wednesday. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work on this modeling and trying to come up with a budget that works in such uncertain times. We'll begin with council member comments or questions. Seeing none, we do have one member of the public to address. Yes, was that Councilwoman Pastor? Councilwoman Williams. I'm sorry. Who asked to speak? Councilwoman Williams. Please.
I can wait. Actually, I want to thank Jeff for all the almost miracle work he does. I think it's extremely important in this time that we support our employees. The fact that we don't have to lay anybody off, we don't have to cut salaries, is a tremendous plus for not only the city, but especially for the council, having been through that once before. So I am very supportive to move your plan forward. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, go ahead.
Jeff, is there a midway point, let's say January or February, where you will be able to give us other numbers so that potentially the fund, in case we need more programming or things shift around COVID and we need other things, that we will know that some of the general operating money may be free to do other things that the community may need?
Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Garcia, that's an excellent question. And just so you know, we will continue to give you routine updates on where we stand because, again, the revenue and what we're facing is so unprecedented. But my next formal update to you will be shortly after you come back from break. We will give you a year-end status report in terms of how we fared relative to the original projections on our revenues for this year that we're closing out, as well as our expenditures for this year. Then after that, I would probably come back to you probably sometime after we complete our technical review in the fall. So either in December or January, we'll be in a really good place at that point because I will have collected a lot more revenue. We'll have a lot more sense as to where we are financially from that perspective. But I will have also had an opportunity to work with my staff and the staff in other departments to really shrink our spending and to control our base growth for the fiscal year 2021 or 21-22 year. So I would say probably, look for me to give you an update on where we stand in probably September. Come back again, maybe December, January timeframe, and have a real good discussion with you, even prior to getting to the point of a 5-year forecast in February.
Thank you. And then I think that's either to yourself, Jeff, or Ed. I would really want also when we come back a status report of the 150 that we had allocated beforehand, just to see if we were able to spend it all or if there's adjustments that we need to make regarding COVID expenses or community programming or staffing that we can either reallocate or see if something's working and maybe move things around. I like and I'm really excited that we won't have to lay anyone off and that we've found a way to maintain this year's budget. Like I said in the budget report, my preference would be to defund the police department and a lot of what I believe is overspending on that side, but I know the votes aren't there for that, and so appreciate the creativity and the ability to make sure that the programming and things we've approved on this budget are continuing. So thank you for your work.
Councilmember Garcia and Mayor, members of the council, I appreciate that what you expressed there at the first part about it raises a really important point. I talked at the beginning about patience, but also what the council has exhibited is extreme flexibility. And so what you're bringing up, I think, is really important, that how we've been successful is that we've been able to be flexible quickly. And so what our commitment is, we're going to come back to you in September, as Mr. Barton said, with the update. And also we'll continue to examine with you the coronavirus relief funds. And I think that's the right approach, which is if we see something that needs to be adjusted, the council has shown a willingness to adjust it, and that is really important and has been a really important part of this. So yes, our commitment is to come back to you regularly and to present you options if we need to be flexible in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Earlier we heard from Justin McKay, who urged fiscal discipline, and now we will go to the phones for Nathan Sarbo.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, and good afternoon. One might conclude that your suggestion to use the $143 million in CRF reserves to offset general fund and public safety payroll costs in an attempt to reduce shortfall and potential budget cuts is actually a response to the perceived demand of police staffing due to the recent peaceful protesting. With the exception of the isolated incident of rioting and looting on May 30th, the movement here in Phoenix has remained peaceful and resilient, despite backlash from our police force. As stated in your agenda and by federal guidance, public safety payroll is an eligible CRF expense. However, considering the starting salary, the city has spent roughly $208,000 towards officer payroll in an attempt to eliminate protesting. The figure then balloons to $303,000 when considering senior officers, as well as without taking into account additional benefits paid into a pension program and the underlying cost of additional force used with crowd control methods. If your intent is to utilize the CRF reserves, you have a duty as elected officials to prioritize expanding the funds within the community investment portion specifically, and I strongly recommend the council do as such. For example, Within the current distribution of the CRF, as listed in Attachment A, only 1.7% is allocated for small businesses. Only 2% of the city's population was eligible for utility and rent or mortgage assistance, while a total of $6 million went entirely unallocated. While recognizing the need, city employee testing funds were 600% higher than funds available for community testing. At the very least, community testing and small business support can be expanded upon. I, and those I speak with, acknowledge that operating a city comes with many obstacles and shortfalls. The community that you serve, however, deserves more support than you have provided during these stressful and uncertain times. Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank you.
I want to just make clear, Mayor, that the coronavirus relief fund really is not connected in any way to the issues of demonstration of the funds that have been spent related to demonstrations. This is COVID related, and as Mr. Sarbo noted, it is following the guidance from the federal government about COVID related expenses.
Thank you. Do we have council member comments or a motion?
Mayor?
Mayor, I'll make the motion.
Oh, okay, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Donna.
Councilwoman Williams has motioned approval of staff recommendation.
I want to approve staff's recommendation. I think it's great of Jeff and for this council. Thank you. I move approve.
I'll second it.
Motion from Councilwoman Williams, second from Councilman Nowakowski. Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, first of all, I just really want to thank staff, because one of the concerns I had earlier is when we started spending the COVID money is that we made sure that we didn't lay off any of our employees and that there was no furloughs. Dell and myself were back at the council 13 years ago. We were in that situation where we had to lay individuals off, and then the staff that was hired, they were able to go ahead and take furloughs to make sure that all the amenities, all the programs from our seniors to our youth to all the different programs that we offer in the city of Phoenix still continue. So I just really want to thank our staff for those 10 years of sacrifice that they've done over the years, and the commitment that we made to you all, that once the good times come around, that we would restore and give back to our staff. And that's what we're able to do. We were able to give back that 1% that we promised you all. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but I mean, during this COVID-19 and all the different situations that we find ourselves in, we were able to make good on our words. So I just really want to thank Jeff, thank your staff, thank you, city manager, and mayor, for your leadership, and my colleagues for the support in making this all happen. If you were around 13 years ago, you'd see this as a little miracle, because it really is. The way that we're able to pull out of, Jeff was saying, what was $119 million deficit, and then basically, hopefully that it doesn't continue to look like April, and then our numbers start to change, and it looks brighter at the end of the tunnel. And thank you once again, and staff members, thank you for your patience and for your faith in us too. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you. I just want to echo Councilman Nowakowski's comments. I was on the receiving end 13 years ago. I got to take those furlough days along with some of my fellow employees at the time. And I do agree they make great sacrifices because they really care about this city. And I'm so happy today to see that we'll be able to vote on something positive. And again, a special thanks to Jeff Barton. He is a miracle worker. He really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's all right. He's all right.
Do any council members have comments before we vote? call.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes, good job.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes, thanks, Jim.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes unanimously.
Woohoo, Jim.
A strong show of support for our city employees, and thank you to Jeff and his team for putting together a very responsible proposal. We will move to our final agenda item today, which is a city update on the Coronavirus Relief Fund strategic plan, and our city manager, Ed Zerker, will introduce the item.
Mayor, thank you very much. I'm going to turn to Deputy City Manager Jeff Barton. This really, Councilmember Garcia gave a preview of this, which is we want to lay out for you today sort of a retrospective on what the council's done in this last 100 or so days of the federal coronavirus relief fund, and particularly focusing on the community investment side. The work is not done. In many ways, it's just beginning. And so we want to lay that framework out for you. We will continue to work on that over the summer, and then we will continue to update that as the council returns. With that, I'll turn it over to our Deputy City Manager, Jeff Barton, who's also been working on making sure that we move forward on this strategic plan that the council has adopted. And so, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Ed. Mayor, members of the council, before I begin this presentation, this slide is something that you've become very familiar with because we've shown it to you several times a week now for the past several months. The one thing I do want to emphasize to you again, with this being essentially your baby, you helped birth this thing and you helped bring it to light. I've sat on a number of different panel discussions over the past couple of months, from GFOA to U.S. Conference of Mayors to other cities and towns that are really trying to seek guidance. And they are looking at Phoenix as a beacon in terms of how to allocate and prioritize and strategize around their coronavirus relief fund. So I do want to give you special thanks and kudos for helping get this thing to where it is, because we are receiving a lot of recognition in light of what we're doing and what we've proposed to do. So again, what we're going to focus on today is really taking a deeper dive into that $75 million, just to kind of give you an update as to where we are as we come to a close for this fiscal year. We still have a full 6 months to spend the rest of this money, and so again, we will be working at this and we will be constantly updating you. But we want to kind of give you a heads up as to where we are at this point in time. So again, what we're going to focus on is the $75 million in community investment. That included a whole variety of different types of topics and programs that you really wanted to ensure that we did, from small business assistance loans to micro enterprise and arts assistance to residential and commercial utility assistance, residential rental and mortgage assistance, eviction protection, food delivery, to name a few. And we'll go into those, but I just wanted to kind of reorient everyone. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about business assistance and talk about the things that are really in flight or in progress. First and foremost was the Small Business Relief Fund. That program allocated essentially $5 million, and it aligned for grants of up to $10,000 per company. To date, 57 companies have actually been awarded, and based on information I've received from CED, I think there are another 6 or so companies that are in flight, ready to be approved at this point in time. And again, I do want to recognize that I do have all the department heads here with me in case I need a lifeline, like I'm on Who Wants to Win a Millionaire. They can answer questions for me about program specifics. We also had Micro Business Resiliency Grant Program. That was a $6 million program, which allowed for up to $5,000 per business. To date, 260 companies have been approved and awarded, and additional programs and projects are being evaluated currently. The Restaurant Restart Program was allocated $1 million. To date, 89 companies have actually been approved, and additional couple of more are actually in flight and ready to be approved any day now. That program has actually been fully expended. Arts and Culture, you allocated $2.6 million to assist the arts and culture opportunities in the city. To date, 331 artists have applied, and those applications are being evaluated right now to ensure, number one, that they're Phoenix residents and that they meet all of the other specific criteria for that program. That will be about $800,000 that would be allocated on that side. We also have about 68 arts organizations that have applied, and those individuals are scheduled to be approved any day now as well. Then we also have the Small Business Concessionaire Grant Program. That was $1 million allocated to the small businesses at the airport, and that is still in process and will be discussed with you at a later date. Then we also have Small Business Expertise and Guidelines. That was a program where we were trying to essentially adopt and evaluate or bring together a how-to manual that touched on a variety of different topics. That is also currently in process right now. Then we move on to distance learning and Wi-Fi access. You allocated about $590,000 to increase our footprint for Wi-Fi in public facilities, up to about 50 so facilities. Those plans are currently being designed and are in process. We also allocated $660,000 for tablets for residents in our public housing facilities. 800 tablets have been purchased, and according to conversations with Cindy Stotler, those will be procured no later than, or no, not procured, those already been procured. They will be distributed to our residents by no later than August, the end of August. Landlord-tenant assistance program, we allocated $1.1 million. Those contracts were actually just approved by you this week, so again, that program will actually start very shortly. Heat relief, there were many components to this, giving money to Justice Center, giving money to St. Vincent de Paul's, as well as standing up our respite center. And I want to emphasize to you that over this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we had record highs at our respite center. We served almost 200 unique individuals on each of those days, and that thing is really starting to kick into high gear. So the rest of that program is also very much in process. We also had funds, $3.4 million allocated for senior assistance. A lot of this, the bulk of this, was allocated specifically to evaluate and do assessments on our senior facilities so that we could bring them back safely. Those are also in process. Domestic violence, we allocated $1 million there, and those contracts, from what I understand in talking to Human Services, those contracts are all in the final stages of being signed by both parties. So again, we should see action coming very shortly there in the new fiscal year. Human trafficking, $310,000 was allocated here, and I believe this was specifically, if I'm not mistaken, allocated to Starfish Place. That is also in process and moving ahead. Refugee and asylum seekers was 3 components. The first piece was utility and rent mortgage assistance. That again we just approved that contract a few days ago, and based on, again, we'll talk about utility and rent assistance a little later in this presentation, but again, we know that Wildfire has concluded they've signed their deal, and now they've worked with all of their sub-recipients that will be allocating those funds, and we expect that dollars will be actually in the hands of residents starting this week. Refugee Relief Program, again, $1 million. You will be seeing that on your agenda in your discussion tomorrow with Spencer and Neighborhood Services. And then finally, the Micro Enterprise Program for refugee and asylum seekers was a $300,000 program. That is also in process now, and again, we should see some movement there in the coming weeks. Food delivery, there were a number of entities here that we allocated essentially $3.3 million to. Those contracts were approved on June 3rd. From what I understand in talking to Human Services today, those contracts are also in the final stages of approval. We actually expect them to be approved this week, so funding should be in the hands of those organizations no later than within a week or two. The final component of food delivery was $1.7 million that was allocated between 2 organizations, LISC and Local First. From what I understand, those are basically days apart from one another, and they are in the final stages of approval. The expectation is that those contracts will be all signed and delivered by the mid-July, and that those grants will be made out to organizations in August. Better health and community outcomes. This was something that the city manager talked to you about last week. You approved $500,000 for masks for community use. Those were ordered, and we actually have over 1 million masks that came in stock already, so that's a good thing. Community testing events, Milton gave you a heads up on that. You allocated $1 million for that. We are moving forward in those endeavors. And now I want to circle back to utility and rent assistance. So $24 million was allocated for residential rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, specifically looking at utilities from SRP, AEPS, gas, and city water, as well as 1 month of mortgage assistance. Those contracts, as I mentioned with Wildfire, were just recently concluded, and they have concluded all of their workings with their subcontractors, and we expect those dollars to be rolling out, as I mentioned earlier, starting this week. And we will continue to keep an eye on that. The Commercial Utility Assistance Program, that is also still in flight, and we expect those dollars to be starting to roll out very shortly as well. That is coordinated through Water, Finance, and the ACF. And so what we end with here are two recommendations. One is around the Rent and Utility Assistance Program. What we're asking and recommending to you is that you increase or you allow us the flexibility, that same flexibility that the city manager talked to you about earlier, to increase the monthly rent and mortgage assistance from 1 month to 3 months to be in line with the other utilities that we are providing our residents, the utility assistance that we're providing our residents. The final recommendation was also something that was discussed with you last week with the city manager, but we didn't really effectively ask for your approval. So we're asking for that today, and that's allocating the balance of the better health outcomes and community testing. The balance of the $5 million was 3.5. We're asking that you allocate that to PPE for schools, healthcare navigators, early detection program, the Employee Hope Fund, and additional testing. And again, that's a kind of a catch-all. We will come back to you with very specific allocations for each of those individual components of that program once we have staff really work to identify what those allocations should be. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for that update. We have been doing with community partners such important work, and it's neat to see all of the partnerships that our city staff has helped create and the important needs we are addressing. I think this is a plan that's very responsive to what we've heard from the community and will really help folks who have made such sacrifices to get through COVID-19 have a little bit of an easier time. Certainly, we will never have all of the resources we need to prevent all of the ill effects, but we're doing really valuable work, and it's great to hear some of the early success stories. Very supportive of on my part, increasing from 1 month to 3. I think that will be meaningful to our residents as well as the additional recommendations. I think healthcare navigators can be so essential into helping people understand what are the options available, how do you sign up. I would love to allocate some of those resources to industries such as hospitality that have been hit particularly hard. I think we can help people just understand what is available, and that expertise in the community is wonderful. And also, such a strong supporter of additional testing. As Councilman Nowakowski said earlier, there is a huge need in our community, and glad that we can support healthcare workers who are doing this important work. Council member comments, questions, or a motion? Councilwoman Pastor.
I move to approve staff recommendation to increase the monthly rent and mortgage assistance from 1 month to 3 months.
Second.
Any additional council member comments before we vote? Roll call.
Garcia. Garcia. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams. Williams. Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pastor.
believe I left the motion out, or left the banner health outcomes and community testing. Did I need to include that in there, or is it a new motion?
A motion to approve staff's entire recommendation?
Yeah.
Excellent. Councilwoman Pastores moves to approve staff's entire recommendation.
Second.
Councilwoman Stark seconds. Roll call.
Garcia. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Waring. Williams. Williams. Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman, for the excellent motion. That is our final agendized item for today. We will see you all tomorrow for formal. We are adjourned.